What is up, wrestling fans? This is your host with the most, Nicholas Cross, not live from sunny Chicago, Illinois. We are actually live from East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the hallowed halls of the Izod Center. That's right, because we are here at Extreme Rules. And my goodness, how exciting was this night? Did you guys see the fallout of Extreme Rules when Kane got back up after the beating that he took from Bryan? And what in the world can we expect next? I'm going to talk about this a lot later. But I got to be honest with you. I am still amped up. And, you know, there is a quiet buzz flowing throughout East Rutherford, New Jersey right now because people just don't know how to respond to what happened between Kane and Bryan. It looks like that the feud will march on. I don't know if you guys remember way back sometime there was this instance where Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock met at a WrestleMania pay-per-view, and Vince McMahon came out and helped Stone Cold Steve Austin to defeat The Rock. Well, that's kind of the feeling that's in the air right now. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I'm going to say this. I kind of feel like that we are revisiting the Attitude Era in so many ways. So as we look at all things Extreme Rules tonight from East Rutherford, New Jersey, we're going to revisit the topic of Bryan versus Kane. But first, let's talk about the few duds that I thought took place tonight. I'm a huge WWE fan, and I don't hold anything against anybody. I know that sometimes somebody has some bad nights. I really felt as though that the Divas Championship was a bad night. Actually, I feel as though that the entire Divas division has been suffering here lately from a lack of passion. It seems as though what we're doing is cashing it in and not really concerning ourselves with the real fruit of professional wrestling. It looks as though the Divas have themselves in this position where they're just all about glam and glitz and less about actual wrestling. I feel as though that we should take some time to redirect the Divas division and get them in the wrestling part of the industry. I'm going to be honest with you. I like looking at Divas just as much as anybody else, especially this Lana chick. Holy cow. And I think Paige is hot, and I think Tamina is hot, and I think they're all hot. But the thing is it's okay for them to come out in skimpy outfits and actually have a good wrestling match. There would be nothing on planet Earth greater than watching a great wrestling match between two half-naked women. Amen. I'm glad we had that talk. The next match that really, to me, shouldn't have been there. It wasn't a bad match, but it didn't fit the motif of a pay-per-view event, was Alexander Rusev versus Xavier Woods and R-Truth. I thought this was a preliminary match at best. I felt as though it was just a heat-seeking match where we're trying to put Alexander Rusev over some more. Lana was looking like a beautiful blueberry, scrumptious and ready to eat. And Alexander Rusev was looking just as pumped as he ever could. But I don't feel as though that this was a good place for this type of event. Maybe a bigger feud, a better feud between he and R-Truth single-handedly, forgetting the Xavier Woods cacophony, if you will, the little noise that was dead outside of the ring the entire match, and maybe having a few more false finishes would have been a better instance as well. But at the end of the day, it was there, so we can't take it back. It wasn't a bad match. It just didn't fit. But now to the actual show, the part that I thought was standing out. I got to be honest, I really liked the Rob Van Dam, Jack Swagger, Cesaro match. I thought that these three individuals put on a pretty good show, and I felt as though that Cesaro once again shined like the stars in the heaven. I'm going to be honest, we need to start looking for Cesaro to do some really cool stuff. I think that maybe even tomorrow night on Raw, he may start to shine even brighter. And in the middle of that, we can come to a conclusion that Cesaro is a future WWE World Heavyweight Champion and probably a future WrestleMania main event contender. Also, WWE is doing a good job, to me, in bringing the Intercontinental Championship back to its prestigious place. You think about the history of the Intercontinental Championship, you think about Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, Ted DiBiase, Pat Patterson. You think about all these individuals throughout the history of professional wrestling who carried this. You think about WrestleMania 3 when Randy Savage squared off against Ricky the Dragon Steamboat in one of the greatest matches of all time. In fact, you guys voted it one of the top 10 WrestleMania matches of all time. So I felt as though the Intercontinental Championship has lost its place or had lost its place in WWE up until tonight we saw Big E Langston and Bad News Barrett go at it, and what was a fairly good match, as best could be expected. But I really felt the fame of the Intercontinental title come back as Bad News Barrett took his place and defeated Big E Langston. The match had some big bumps, some pretty cool spots. The heat was there. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. I mean, Barrett makes a great heel, but for some reason the audience is really in tune with him. Of course, that tends to be trending here lately in WWE. We're not sure who the babies and who the heels are. If you go over to the Ross Report on Podcast 1, you can listen to Jim Ross as he talks about how there needs to be a distinction, and I think I agree with him, but nevertheless, I really feel as though the match was good, and I really like the fact that the Intercontinental title is taking its place back among the relevant titles in the WWE. That brings us to John Cena and Bray Wyatt. You know what? You guys know me. You know I'm a Wyatt fan, and of course, I'm not the biggest John Cena fan. But I think if John Cena is taking a role that I believe he's taking in putting Bray Wyatt over, then we could be seeing the beginning of something pretty cool. If John Cena would realize that his role in WWE is no longer to be the man but to build the man, then I think that John Cena could take the next level in his career to a whole new height. And I feel as though that Bray Wyatt is right now probably the man. I know that sounds outlandish because you have Daniel Bryan, but when it comes to heels, even though he's cheered like a maniac, Bray Wyatt is one of the top guys, if not the top guy in the industry, and that's talking a lot because you got Randy Orton and Triple H and Batista who are still floating out there. But I feel as though that Bray Wyatt is the man. The match was good. If you can deal with that crazy, unorthodox style of Bray Wyatt, some of the moves that you're keen to are completely different when it comes to Bray Wyatt. He's not going to be the guy that does a suplex normal. When normally you would take a back bump with the guy, Bray Wyatt's the guy that just stays there. He just stands there and just drops you right on the back. A lot of wrestling fans are like, what in the world is this? This is the ugliest thing. But actually it's a beautiful thing because it feeds into the paradox that is Bray Wyatt. And when you're looking at the entire paradigm, all you see is this beauty of this new style. And of course, we know that Bray Wyatt is soon to be a WWE World Heavyweight Champion. There's no question in my mind. In fact, I have him written down as the most likely to succeed WrestleMania 31 main event. And not only so, I feel as though that John Cena is about to take his place in infamy. I think that this match with the crazy finish I don't know. Let me tell you something. There was a weird feeling. Do you remember The Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar last month at WrestleMania 30, and there was this odd silence that just crushed the audience? Well, we were sitting, and all of a sudden it gets dark. Of course, it kind of gets crazy. You know that something odd's going to happen, and the lights come back on, and here's this little boy singing. He's got the whole world in his hands, to John Cena in this odd, monotonous voice, and it's kind of creepy even still to think about this little boy in this black cloak singing to John Cena as Cena's about to escape the cage. Of course, then Cena got back in. There was a Sister Abigail, and Bray Wyatt escaped, and then there was the wonderful little interview-esque type thing with Wyatt and this kid and of course Bray, or excuse me, not Bray, but Luke Harper and Eric Rowan were there, and it was a good thing, I think. As creepy as it may seem, I loved it when the group of kids were standing around the ring in the sheep mask, and I loved it tonight, when this young man was standing here to sing this song to John Cena. It's still, I'm in awe at the fact that this took place. I mean, sometimes you just don't know what's going to happen in WWE, and this was one of those instances with this young boy standing at the cage singing to John Cena. Of course, that leads me to the next match, and I'm pretty amped about this thing too. Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns versus Batista, Randy Orton, and Triple H. And was this a good match or what? Actually, we had some friends who were sitting over in the section where where a few of these guys, it was Triple H, Randy Orton, Rollins, and Ambrose, had fallen out into the audience, and we had some friends of ours who were sitting over in that particular section, and they said that the action was pretty cool to be that close. And so they got their some money worth out there. But what I want to talk about is what this match felt like. Did you guys feel the attitude era once again here? I know I've been talking about that a lot lately, but the feeling there. Look at some of the spots that took place in this that we haven't been seeing here lately. Seth Rollins coming off the balcony there. A lot of the high impact moves that were taking place in the ring. A lot of the false finishes. A lot of the oohs and the ahs. I mean, you should have heard that audience. It was amazing. Every single time that Roman Reigns would look like he was about to do something, it was like, oh, wow, and I was so amped up to watch this thing. I think that the match was a little short, to be honest. I know that sounds crazy, but I think it was a little short. But aside from that, was it not excellent? There was one spot where Dean Ambrose had ran across both of the announce tables and just threw his body at, I think it was Triple H and Randy Orton, knocking them out into the audience. And, man, it was so sick to watch the competition between these six guys. I got to be honest, I don't think that it's over. And I can't wait to see what's coming next between Evolution and S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm pretty excited to note also that Roman Reigns was the last man standing, and it's pretty cool that Roman Reigns pinned Batista. I'm a Batista fan. I got to be honest. I like Batista. He's a Spartan, but I like Roman Reigns. I like Dean Ambrose. I like Seth Rollins. I like S.H.I.E.L.D., and I like what happened. So kudos to these six guys for entertaining us all and not being afraid to go where no man has gone in years. It seems as though that fighting out in the audience has become taboo, doesn't it? Well, we did it at Extreme Rules, and it was pretty cool. And that brings us to the main event of the evening for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. That's right, it was Daniel Bryan versus Kane. And you guys heard me being so critical leading up into this thing. I thought that it was the biggest joke that you could ever experience in your life. Daniel Bryan versus Kane. I was so angry that one week Kane was corporate Kane, the next week he was back in that mask and wig, and it was making me mad. Well, there's egg on my face tonight. I would like to be in Chicago saying this so that I am in the comforts of my own studio, but I'm not. So here in East Rutherford, I have to admit that I was wrong. I think that the Kane thing is a good thing. I didn't see what was going to happen coming. I just thought it was a filler with Kane and Daniel Bryan. Now I feel as though it's a feud. And it looks good. The match, actually, if you want to be honest, between Daniel Bryan and Kane was good. It was very good. And, Kane has been accused of not being the greatest wrestler. This thing looked pretty good. It was believable. I was sold on the match. The story, I thought, was told real well. And, of course, it was just full of surprises after surprises after surprises. Once again, the Attitude Era shined. Of course, it was an Extreme Rules match, but we have clear picture of the Attitude Era as they fought their way back into the parking area near the video trucks. And it's pretty cool when, at the end of the day, you can see that Daniel Bryan is beating Kane in the head and about the back with a tire iron and then loads him onto a forklift to heft him out to the ring. It's pretty cool, and to me it's pretty awesome. I revisited in my mind the beer truck and the milk truck, and it was pretty insane. And now we're left with Kane going through a flaming table, taking a knee to the face, getting pinned, and then getting up and still stalking Daniel Bryan. This is something that doesn't normally take place, but at Extreme Rules it did, And it's exciting because we know that there's going to be more of the Kane-Daniel Bryan dynamic, and that's not a bad thing. In fact, we feel as though that it's going to be a good thing. I can't wait till tomorrow night. I can't wait to see what's going to happen on Raw. I can't wait to continue to press forward with some of these great feuds. Don't think that you've seen the end of the Evolution Shield. Don't think that you've seen the end of Daniel Bryan Kane. Let's look forward to Raw, and this is Nicholas Cross live at rockinwrestling.com on Rockin' Wrestling Radio in East Rutherford, New Jersey. You guys have a good night.